Hello, everyone. Since I haven't done this before, we're hoping that it's working. So if you're in the chat and you can say hi and let me know that you can see and hear us, that would be awesome. I'm Jeanette LeBlanc, and I've got the lovely Kristen Kalp with me. Wave and smile and say hi, Kristen. And we're here today to talk about creative resistance. We're going to talk about the how and why and what the hell we're doing when we're not doing the thing that we're here on this earth to do. I'm kind of an expert myself. Kristen can attest, and she'll probably have many stories to tell you while we're here. But just to set this up, I've been doing this online writing thing for almost 15 years. And I know it's what I'm here to do. I tried to be a photographer for a while and couldn't really ever dive into that. The writing is the thing. It's my thing. It's my purpose. It's my calling. And yet I still freeze. I freeze in the writing. I freeze in the putting it out in the world. I definitely freeze in the promotioning. You like that word? And saying, here, this is what I have to offer, and now would you like to help me support my life by doing it? That part's really hard for me. And so I resist, and I throw up walls, and I avoid, and I get involved in busy work, like, you know, I'm cleaning the baseboards because that's more important than creative work. I don't answer phone calls. I hide from people like Kristen who are there to help me. I've done it all. So, it's now time to start a new set of patterns and create new stories for myself. And Kristen has been a part of that for me for a long time. And so I thought it would be amazing to invite her here today to talk to us all about what the heck we're doing when we're not doing the work and how to start doing it. Kristen, would you like to give a little introduction of yourself and what you do, and then we can start from there?
Sure. So I'm Kristen Kalp. Ta-da. And I do things like help people do their work, and I hold people accountable, and that is often uncomfortable. And I'm the type of person that when you meet me, you'll usually tell me secrets and things that you have not told anyone ever before. And that's just kind of how it goes. And Calling to the Deep is all about doing your work without excuses or drama or big hard sales of any kind. It's just doing your work day in and day out for 69 days in a row, because that's funny. We're switching back and forth like mad. Have we got it?
I know, I'm trying to figure it out. Here's the part where my creative resistance didn't want to do this thing because I didn't know how to do the thing.
Right.
I think I'm figuring it out. Jenna's giving me tips. Hi, Jenna. How are you? I saw Elliot. Hi, Elliot. In the chat. So we will maybe figure this out as we go. Who to see? All right, let's see. Now you can see me, maybe.
Yes, you're presenting to everyone right now.
Woo! There we go. So I'm going to give a little brief introduction of Kristen and I and how we met, because it sets up the difference between us pretty well. We met probably 5 years ago, I think we decided. And she was running Brand Camp, which was then mainly focused on photographers, which I was, and marketing and branding advice and teaching us all how to do the things.
Hold on, it's still on me. It's still on me. Why is it still on me?
Why?
Stop. Go to Jeanette. Go. No.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us.
There we go. It says you're presenting. Does everyone see you, though?
I don't know. There we go. Okay. We may have to do the switch back and forth thing because I can't figure out the other part.
Okay.
Who knows? Jenna's trying to help. Jenna is a webinar expert and a branding expert, and she's in the chat. So she's trying to walk us through all the hiccups. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with me. So Kristen and I met. She was coming to town to do kind of a world tour in camp and help out some of us photographers, and I was going to take her pictures. We went out to dinner, and I talked about all of my things, all of my excuses, all the reasons I wasn't what I wanted to be. And I told her what I needed was a dominatrix, which I still keep asking the universe for. And I needed someone to stand over me and make me do all the things. What did Kristen do? She went back, and within probably less than a week, she had launched a whole program, and she made herself a dominatrix, and she made gods of money. And I went, okay, there's people out there who just do things. Like, they get ideas, and then they do the ideas, and they're successful. What the heck is this? And so ever since then, I've kind of been a little bit in awe of Kristen, because she is very different than me, and that she does what she says she's going to do. When something comes to her, she actually creates it. She doesn't deal with resistance in the same way I do, and I don't know what kind of magic sauce she's drinking, but I'm hoping today we can dive into that a little bit. What makes Kristen different than so many of the rest of us in that way, and how can people like her help people like me get over my shit? And yes, Kristen asked if it was okay to swear on this, and I told her okay, so. So what do you say to that, Kristen?
What makes me different is such a hard question. First, I just don't give a shit about very much, and the things that I do give a shit about, I really care about. But mostly I make my work non-negotiable. Like, it's not some, it's, for me, workouts are negotiable. Like, look at me, you can tell. But writing and doing my creative work is not negotiable. And I think for so many people, it's the opposite. It's like, I will and clean the baseboards and take care of the kids, and I will do my reading and my meditation and my exercise and all the things, and the creative work is last. And I just like, dare you to put your creative work first, and let that be the siren song that leads the rest of your day. Even if it's just 10 minutes at the beginning, it changes everything.
So, but people like me are going to say, well, yeah, that's really nice and pretty. Mm-hmm. And we're probably going to say, yeah, we want to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to get up at 5 a.m. every day, and we're going to do the thing. And then we don't. And there's a million reasons why we don't, but we don't. So, I mean, obviously, we all know the rules of overcoming creative resistance. It's show up, it's do the thing. Nike had it right, just do it. There's not much more to it than that. But yet, I know for myself, I freeze. I mean, it feels like absolute paralysis. And I almost got there this week. Kristen and I did an interview for a podcast that went live. Maybe, Kristen, you can put the link in the chat. And we talked a lot about this, and that's how this conversation came to be. So I said, yeah, we'll do this. I'll invite the people, and we'll have so much fun, and we'll go on there. And I've wanted to do a webinar forever. It'll be amazing. And all I had to do was write a blog post and send out an email and set this up. And it got to be Tuesday of this week, and none of those things were done yet. And I was feeling that deer in headlights, absolutely frozen thing that happens when I get overwhelmed with options and all the technical end, and it all feels too big, and I could feel myself starting to let this slip away again. What I did differently this time was I reached out for help. So everyone can probably see Kim on the chat. Kim is a ninja superhero virtual assistant on Magic Woman who somehow made all this happen for me. So for me, I think part of overcoming resistance is asking for help for the things that I can't seem to do or make myself do on my own. But every step of the way, I pushed up against the wall. This time, I actually pushed back hard enough that I moved it a little bit, but often that doesn't happen. I would love to hear from anyone listening in on what creative resistance feels like for you. Do you feel frozen? Do you feel trapped? Do you get depressed and kind of morose about it? Do you blame yourself? Tell yourself you're not good enough at what you do, that people don't want to see it? What does it look and feel like to you? What are you battling? What's your demon or your dragon?
I like it. I feel like lots of what people experience is either extreme, that your creative work is epic, and so you can't possibly live up to it and it's going to suck. Or why would anyone listen to you in the first place? So those are your two options, and both of them suck, because if it's epic, you can't find a way in. It's like trying to make your way into a castle that's guarded by 82 dragons. And if it is that you suck, then why fucking bother? Like, just go eat some Cheetos and watch some Housewives. So at either extreme, you kind of have to deal with the voices in my head are going to tell me I suck. I'm going to keep going, but I'm also not going to make this such a big deal that the free world hinges on my writing a poem today, because that is way too big an expectation to live up to. So I think just getting to a place where you're not in either extreme and recognizing that those are universals. The castle is a universal, and the I fucking suck, I'm gonna go eat Cheetos universal. and positioning yourself with like, dude, this is just a voice in your head that's an asshole. And you can combat it by saying that's a voice that's an asshole. You don't have to buy into it in any capacity whatsoever. It's always going to be there. It's not going to go away. Like sometimes I type and it's just, I suck, I suck, I suck, I suck, I suck, I suck. And I keep typing anyway because that's just the fucking voice.
So let's see what we have. We have some comments in the side here. Kathy says, everything stays on my head and doesn't get out. Can you respond to that, Kathy? So when you have this kind of lockdown, I can definitely relate to that. I have all of these ideas that want to be born and all these things that want to be written, and then nothing comes. It gets so big that there's no way to get it all out.
So that's the castle. That's the you can't find a way in. And that's where a daily practice comes in super helpful, because you find a way in regardless of whether you want to or not. It's like put out your yoga mat and sit on it for 10 minutes, even if there's nothing else to do. You just sit and you count that for the day. Overwhelm is the same as the castle. You just have to find a way in. Yes, it's guarded by dragons, but tough shit. For Jenna, who says creative resistance is setting my alarm on my phone at 5, waking up and diving into email and Facebook. First, waking up at 5 doesn't have to be the answer. You can make creative work 10 minutes a day, and it can be exactly when you normally wake up, and then you just poop and shower a little bit faster. Like, it doesn't have to be a big deal. And I would avoid, like, if nothing else, just avoid screens for the first hour that you're awake, and you'll be so much more alive as a human for the rest of the day. And then
that is so tricky, isn't it?
Yeah. So just buy an alarm clock, like the old school. It doesn't have all things. Yeah, like it's just. And then writing a book on your to-do list is like good fucking luck, man. Like that's tough. So that's finding a way in is like 200 words a day. I'm gonna write 200 words a day. By the end of the year, you'll have 40,000 words, and you'll be so much further off than, or so much closer to the castle than just like, well, I didn't write today, so fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, I didn't write today or the next day or the next day, and what's the point anyway? And I've done that many times, and that's why I'm interested to do Calling to the Deep with you, because I've done that. I'm gonna write X number of minutes a day, and that's it. Or do yoga every day. You know how Facebook serves you those memories? Mm-hmm. And I love them. But the other day, one came up from like 2011, 2012, and I said, day 2 of Jillian Michaels' 30-day shred. I'm doing this. And I'm pretty sure day 2 is all I ever did.
But that's an example. That's an example of the castle. Like, you're taking on this, like, that's not finding a way in. Finding a way in is like, I'm going to stretch for 5 minutes every day. And I'm going to go gently on myself when I fuck it up, instead of like I won't let you, if you're new to writing a book, I will not let you write 1,000 words a day. You will fucking fall on your fucking face. It's more like I will write 100 words a day, and if they suck, I will not delete them until the end of the program. That is a fucking promise you can keep to yourself. So it's about not making promises you can't keep, because you're gonna fail miserably. Like, I'm gonna lose 12 pounds in 2 weeks. Fail. Instant fail before you start.
I'm gonna blog every week when I've never ever done that, as long as I've been writing online.
And then who are you listening to? Like, fuck it. If you hate blogging, don't do that.
Well, I don't hate it, but I still don't do it as often as, and I almost said it as often as I should. That's what I almost said. Right? I don't blog as often as I should. So I think that the shoulds come into this a lot too, and maybe others listening can pop in if they feel constrained by the shoulds or the musts or the have-tos, especially in this online world where there's so many people telling us what the rules are of how to do the thing we want to do. That gets to me.
There aren't any fucking rules. So let me tell you a story. It's a terrible and lovely story at the same time. I paid $20,000 to be in a mastermind group, which is, I don't know if there's anyone that thinks that's not a lot of money, but to me, that was a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And I did everything right. Like, I was so like, I lost 5 pounds and I went to marriage counseling and it was beautiful and wonderful. And I launched a program and it made 6 figures and it was fucking epic. And from the outside looking in, you would think, oh my God, she just had the best year of her life. And really what happened was the voices that got into my head completely changed. They went from being like the voice that sits with you when you're alone, that is really true, to like, yeah, but I should be doing this, and I should be doing that, and I should be doing this, and I should be doing that. And it wasn't a terrible failure. I mean, I made 6 figures. I put a good product into the world. It was great, but it was a departure from listening to my own voice, which has pink hair and does whatever the fuck it wants. So,
and that's what I love about you.
So like your inner 3-year-old does not want to follow the rules. So don't make it follow the rules. Just give it some guidelines. Be like, dude, we're just going to go and play every day for 20 minutes. And we're not going to delete what comes of that playing. That is such a good way into the castle, because otherwise it's really, really scary.
And I want to go back. I know there's a lot of questions growing up, but that just gave me a thought. What part, for me, I know a huge part of the creativity, and probably because of the way I found my way into writing, because I didn't intentionally find my way into writing. I have a science degree. I worked in a lab. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was a doula. I was a photographer, everything but writing. So it's all, part of it's always been the writing and then the putting it out to the world. Having people waiting for what I write is part of my accountability. It is part of how I do at least what I do. But do you have anything to speak to, not just not deleting what you've done, but actually showing it or sharing it or making it part of the bigger conversation, the bigger art that's going on in the world? Is that helpful, or is that for sure?
Text, find a supporter who will tell you if something sucks, and text them what you've written every day. So you don't have to show it to the masses if it's not ready, or if it feels off, or if you're not used to it. Because I've been writing Brand Camp for 6 years and sort of flaying myself wide open for people for a long time. And so that's not challenging for me like it used to be. But I wouldn't, like, just write your soul's essay, and then you've never written anything before for online, put it out there and see what happens. You will be absolutely crushed by a single comment that is not 100% positive. So ease into your writing, allow yourself a little bit of grace there. And I text people, I'm just annoying. Like, I text my boyfriend and my best friend, like, I wrote this, does it suck? And sometimes they offer feedback, and sometimes it's like, no, that's good. And then it goes into a second round of editing, and then typically it gets published. That's how I do.
Okay, so I'm going to go back over to the comments over here. And Elliot said, getting to it. I feel submerged in the other shit, and I take it on tangents, so this stuff never gets done. Hugely relate to that. That's why there's like 18 tabs open on my browser, and I've checked Facebook 80 times. And no, I don't have another email since the 3 minutes before when I checked, but there's still nothing in the Word document that's opening on the screen.
Right. Why do you have your internet browser open at all is the question.
That is a good question.
Like,
how else?
When you're writing, writing whatever creative practice you choose, it deserves your undivided attention, even if you're only giving it 3 minutes. Give it 3 undivided minutes, and you'll get further along than, like, I sat for an hour with Word open. That counts, bitches. No, it doesn't. No. Then you like, how much sex did the Golden Girls have? And like, you go down the rabbit hole and you never get out. Like, I get that, but yeah, no. Your work deserves your undivided attention. It doesn't matter. Just give it 90 seconds. I don't give a fuck. It deserves to have you.
That's the great quote of the day. Your work deserves your undivided attention. And I think that we live in a world where undivided attention hardly exists anymore. I mean, it's hard to think of a time when you're not multitasking in some way. Our brains are used to the constant switch. I even have a harder time reading books than I used to. I think because my brain has been trained into these sound bites, which definitely makes art of any kind. And I don't want to guide this too much toward writing. That's where my mind goes. But we've got to retrain the part of our brain that knows how to sit down and focus on one thing for a while and only one thing.
Yeah, multitasking is always a choice. You're never forced to multitask by life. You choose it over and over and over again. Let me be really clear and push back there. But if you have 12,000 things going on at once, you chose all of them. And so you have to push back and unchoose a lot of those things.
And that leads neatly into what Jennifer Berry said. Too much muse, not enough time.
Yeah.
maybe you can give Maybe you can give your thoughts on my ritual of whiskeys and candle and all of that stuff that you did before we went live today. Because that kind of feeds it.
About it. I was all like, what if you just write for 10 minutes or 15 minutes without, like, she has to pour whiskey and then she lights candles and then she, like, I don't know, masturbates for 3 hours and then, like, she plays the guitar and sings a song. And, like the ritual itself takes the whole fucking day and then nothing gets written. Like, find a way in that doesn't take more than 3 minutes is my big response there.
Right. And I agree, because when I teach writing to people, I talk about how some of it is calling the muse, and the other part of it, the bigger part of it, is just doing the work. But when you're making art that feels very soulful and deep and spiritual, it can be hard to get to that place. Do you have any suggestions on going to that place, whether you're writing or painting or doing yoga, when, you know, the kids are screaming? In my case, the dogs are scratching at the bedroom door. The neighbors are being loud outside. There's a lawnmower. There's a phone call. There has to be a certain amount of spirit and soul present to do the work that you're called to do. But you have that 20 minutes, and that's all you've got. How do you get there?
So personally, let me pull things off of my magical table. This is my candle. I light a candle, and I say a prayer and ask all the spirits that wish to be present, that are not terrible, horrible, or evil, to come and play with me. And then I shuffle my deck of tarot cards and just ask what I need to know right now. For you guys, it was jellyfish, which is very much let go, let go, let go, let go of all the stories that you've told yourself up until now about all the things that you can or cannot do. Just fucking let go of it. Today you are new, you are reborn, and you're capable of doing the work you're meant to do. The end. So do it. And then I set a timer for 20 minutes, because otherwise I would just dick around for 5 to 8 to 12 minutes getting my stuff together. Right? So it's like, no, you have 20 minutes, and whatever, if you play the game with yourself of whatever you write you have to publish, you will get your shit together way faster, I promise.
Okay, so Jennifer says, do you stop if you're in the flow but you've only committed to 30 minutes? Does your muse listen? Mine is new, untrained, and all up in my head all the time.
If you're in the flow,
I'm saying there's a topic.
Yeah, no, if you're up in the flow and you can keep going, keep fucking going. Don't ever be like, no, fuck you, I'm out. The 30 minutes is more, this is miserable, this is awful, this is terrible, and I know exactly when it will end. But when you're up in it, keep going, for sure.
Okay, so I would love to hear from everyone on the call. What is your thing? What is your art? What is your purpose, your calling, whatever words you give to it, your muse? What's the work or the thing you want to do in the world? And by that, I don't mean I want to write the best-selling American novel, or I want to become the greatest internet sensation and make $8 bazillion by next year. It could be as simple and as little as I want to keep my house clean so that I can feel sane while I go about the rest of my life. It could be that I just want to try painting. I've never tried painting. I want to do something different. What's your thing that's calling to you right now? Maybe not forever, maybe not for the thing you want to make of your whole entire life, but what's calling to you right now that you want to focus on in the next couple of months? What's your thing, Kristen?
I did my thing. I'm working on a novel for the first time ever, and it's.
I just told her I didn't have to be working on a novel.
Right, like fucking miserable, but I'm doing it. I've never written a piece of fiction longer than 3 pages, and so we're at like 15,000 words, and I'm like, this is utter shit. And people are like, I want to read it. And I'm like, not a chance in hell. But I'm doing it, and that's the important bit. And I haven't deleted anything, but I really wanted to a lot of times.
Do we get any hints on what this is about? It's a total secret.
It's a children's book. There are long-lost twins involved. There is a scheming platypus that wears a monocle and an evil elephant out to rule the world. They have some adventures and some mishaps. And yeah, there's lots of kidnapping and just adventure happening so far.
Can't wait.
That's what's happening. It's a rollicking talk for 8-year-olds, basically. Like, it's gonna be.
It sounds like.
Right?
See, nobody's answering. See, they're all resisting my question of what is the thing that they're resisting working on. They're resisting the resistance, which is really meta, right?
Right? It is.
I want to write my unlived lives so they don't explode my real life. Erotic romance is what that turned out to be. Ooh.
Erotic romance. I want to read shit. Jenna says, I'm trying to only work 1.5 hours a day to make creative space to dance and draw and date handsome men. Fuck yeah. Let's do it.
My people. I love my people.
And Dana says, I want to get my photography business up and running. If that's the same Dana Poo, I'm pretty sure that you already have a photography business that's up and running. So you are, maybe the same one? No, you're a different one. Okay, cool. There are 2 Dana Poos of the world. So awesome. I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay, so Jennifer, I know you've actually written. You are writing and you have written. So what does your creative resistance look like when it comes to these unlived lives and the erotic romance? How is that playing out in your life right now? And Jenna, I don't see you resisting that. Are you resisting this 1.5 hours of work? But I guess there's another kind of resistance, I suppose. If you are someone who tends to dive into your work so hard and fast that it can consume everything else in your life, and you resist all the rest of the fun and playing. Do you have anything to say to that? Now, that is not something I can relate to or speak to because that's not me.
That is me all the time. I totally get it.
Why don't you talk to Jen a little bit?
So that is where you play the game of how much shit can I get done in an hour and a half? Because I'll tell you a story. I have a guy. I love him. He's been in my life for 16 years. He works for a very corporate job. He makes a shit ton of money. And I was all like, well, you work for 8 hours a day. I mean, 40 hours a week. Like, you get a lot done. And he was like, he laughed so hard, beer almost came out his nose. And he was like, really? I work for like 2 hours a week. And the rest of the time is kind of like filling space. And I was like, oh, so when I write 2 blog posts, make a podcast, bust out 1,000 words for just extra for fun, check all my emails, take care of all my orders, and like in 3 hours, he's like, yeah, that's like a whole week's worth of work. So lose the guilt about fun and about not having fun, and go. Fun can only enliven you and make you better and make you more interesting, and not one of those people that's like, what'd you do? Well, I worked. No, go do all the things. Go fuck hot men, Jenna. You like, make that your fucking goal. I don't care. Like, go do it.
Yeah, Kristen and Jenna, if you don't know each other, you guys totally should. You absolutely. This is the next webinar that's going to come up. It's Kristen and Jenna. And maybe I'm going to invite.
Oh my God. Let's have a webinar about being addicted to work. I will fix it. That has been, that's my hardest, like, ongoing, that's so much harder for me than not doing the work, is doing the work and then beating myself up. I actually had a talk with myself in my head about how I have only written about 100,000 words this year, and what the fuck is wrong with me? So, so we have the whole spectrum is present right now.
and I was about to say, that's not me. I'm not addicted to work, but I think what I'm addicted to is the busy, because I'm doing stuff all the time. I come home from my day job, my corporate work, and I work on my own stuff, but I'm not actually producing. And I was about to say, the way I should, I'm not shipping things. I'm talking in the world of products.
Right.
I'm not at the point where they're getting out of my head or out of the idea phase and out into the world. So I'm addicted to the busy and all that goes into that, the whole culture of being busy all the time, but not in the same way that you and Jenna are with your work. It's interesting, but it's all a part of resistance. In some way, it all ties back.
It does. I'm not addicted to busy. I will be the first one to tell you that I spend at least an hour a day watching shitty TV, and it makes me so fucking happy. But I'm addicted to shipping. I'm addicted to producing and producing and producing and producing. And I haven't stopped in 6 years. I mean, I take vacations, I take some off, but I really love producing in a way that's probably not healthy, but I can't stop, won't stop, motherfuckers.
And that's probably part of my attraction to you and why I find other people in my life, like Jenna, like you, like Kim, who actually are the doers and very much can get stuck in the idea, strategy. I have a dream. And the whole world's gonna write stories and they're all gonna come and it's gonna be amazing.
Right?
And then I don't do all the things. So a part of it, I think, is pulling in the people that you need to have around you. I mean, how many times? So maybe going back to my resistant street cred, you can probably think of a story or 2 or 10 of the times I've come to you with my thing that I'm gonna do and make and how amazing it's gonna be and haven't done it.
Yeah, I know.
How do you break me?
I'm simply patiently being a catalyst for you yourself. I'm incapable of breaking you.
And
That's just, you're perfectly, the thing is that you're really intuitive. You listen to yourself and then you scare the shit out of yourself. You all like, oh shit, it's awesome in there. I don't know. Like, and then you run away from yourself.
I do that. And I do think it's important to call the right people into your life, because the right people are people like you who will ask me to do things that are outside of my comfort zone. Opening brain camp last year,
Yeah.
I think I almost died.
Yeah, right.
Maybe I'll get Kristen to give a little bit of an overview of what brain camp was and how that went out and why you decided to ask somebody who'd never spoken anywhere before to come and open the whole thing.
So there are people that are really good at seeing things as they are, and there are people that are good at seeing people as they may be. And I'm really good at seeing people as they may be, and I consistently and always believe in you and your ability to someday get out of your own way. One of these days it's going to happen, and it will be the most delicious and delightful thing I've ever witnessed. So that's why I keep you around, and that's why I keep being so fucking bitchy about making you right. Way to make me cry, asshole.
Hey. So having people like Kristen in your life, Kristen had me come to this dream vision, she calls baby birds, and maybe you want to talk a little bit about that a little later. Summer camp for business people, dreamer creatives in the woods, and read and speak and open the whole thing and light a fire. And I was damn near terrified. I was terrified. I was absolutely ill. I was so scared to do this thing. But she'd asked, and part of the way that I overcome the resistance that's always present in me is that I have a rule that if I'm invited, if I'm asked, I have to say yes, as long as it's not going to cause bodily harm or terribly illegal or get me in giant trouble. If there's growth in it, and I need to say yes, I need to show up, and that's what I did. And it was awful and wonderful and amazing and beautiful, but I think you need to make sure that you cultivate relationships with people who are different than you, who are not blocked by the same things, so that you have opportunities like that to grow outside of yourself.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to chat, and while I'm kind of reading through over here, I don't know if you have any response to any of that and tips on how people can find the people that'll take them past the place they are right now.
Sure. I can tell you about those people are always going to be on your side, even if that means they have to say things that are a bit harsh. They're not calling you a cunty bitch. They're just saying you're not doing your work right now. There's a huge difference. It's not abuse. It's simply calling you out on like, dude, you're not doing your thing. You said you're doing it and you're not. They are willing to acknowledge when there is truly a life crisis versus when you were just making shit up, and you need to be called out on that as well. Like, your mom died, that's a crisis. Your sister's mom's cousin's friend died, not a crisis, but it can be an excuse. Your people might change over time, and that's okay, but they can see things in you that you are incapable of seeing, and then it's your job to see those same things back in them and to call each other forward into what you might be.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. So Kim is resisting self-care. I see over here. Yeah. Oh, hi, Rishi. Really want to take care of myself in a way that's right for me. Working a full-time job that's really stressful. Finding time, even 10 to 20 minutes for writing, dancing, painting every single day. I think that that's a common thing, especially for, I was going to say women, but I know we got Elliot here at least, so there's one man on the line. In this world. And we go back to the whole busy, and that the busy takes the place of self-care and the things that feed are art. I know when I'm taking care of myself, when I'm doing the things that I often say I don't have time to do. I don't have time to go to the mountain. I don't have time to go to yoga. I don't have time to keep my house tidy. I make better art when my house is tidy. I know that.
Yep.
Those are, we're tied up in this whole run, 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 go, go, go. But I can also use those things as excuses. Because if I do those things, the muse is closer. I'm cracked more wide open. If I climb the mountain once a week, there's something cracks open in me and words start coming. But so if I avoid all those things, if I do yoga and take care of my soul, same thing. I've got way more to give to my creativity. So being busy and resisting self-care is also a way to resist what comes after you're taken care of. What comes after you're filled up? What do you have to be ready for?
Yeah, when you're filled up, you make shit. So you can resist making shit by just taking shit care of yourself. Be like, I get 2 hours of sleep a night. It's basically like I'm always drunk. And then you don't do it. I would say my most common thing if I'm not doing self-care is, cool, what needs to go? What can I pay someone to do so that I can do my work? Like currently my laundry, there are 5 loads of it, is at a laundromat, and someone else is fucking taking care of that. Like it will all be washed, folded, ironed, and packaged, and I will pick it up, and it will be the most glorious money that I've spent this week because I don't have the fucking time. Sorry. Sorry, life. I just can't do laundry this week. So you push something off of your plate that you should be doing, be like, fuck that, and let someone else do it. And that could be as simple as like on Tuesdays we get pizza delivered, and I take those 20 minutes and run and hide in my room and write instead of miserably making a meal that no one really likes because everyone loves pizza night. It's just the way it is.
Those of us who are gluten-free have a little bit of problem with pizza night. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
All right. Other shit that you can do that's super simple, like go to Trader Joe's and wander around until you find a meal that feels good in your body that takes like less than 10 minutes to make, and or have some shit delivered.
Yes, I love the idea of laundry. Oh my gosh. I mean, I actually like doing laundry when there's time. It's very meditative, but there's never time for laundry, especially when you live in an apartment and you have to cart it somewhere. I want to find one of those laundry people.
Right.
You may have just changed my life.
Like, pay some people. Who can you pay to like doing?
And again, in telling the story of this week, if I had not hired Kim, if I had not gotten Kim on the line to do the things with setting up this webinar, even though they're really simple to a lot of people, and there's a lot of people who would not have had a problem doing the very basic things that it took to make this happen, I had a big problem with it, and I wouldn't have done it. And so flipping the switch in my head that says I can afford to pay for pizza or I can go out and get Thai food, but I can't hire someone to help me in my business is a big part of that. I have to do all the things all by myself. I think that as a mother, as a business owner, as a woman, as XYZ, that whole idea that you have to be a martyr to whatever your work is or whatever your responsibilities are can take away from actually allowing you the freedom and space to get things done. Don't be a martyr. That's it, right?
Yeah, you're not a victim. You chose everything that's in your life, so own it. And then pay people.
Lesson for today. Beat creative resistance by paying people to do things. And so what about the people who are going to say, I can't afford it? Because there are definitely times in my life and now I would love to pay people to do all the things. I would love to hire Kim to like do everything possible that I need done in the background so that I just had to sit and write. And that's not actually reasonable. There are some money switches that I need to flip and some spaces to open up. But there are people who really can't afford to do those things. So how do you make space when the money is really not there? Money is so tight that it's not there to get a cleaner or...
So let me just be perfectly honest. You are a genius at being alive, every one of you, because you're still here. So you can find a way to trade things for other things. Like, dude, I will totally go down on you every day for 3 days, and in exchange, you give me 2 hours to do my work. Is that cool? Cool. Like, creative bartering with partners and friends is totally acceptable and is more than recommended in order to get what you want. Also, if you can bake cookies, fine. If you can trade childcare, that's cool. If you can trade, just like I'll do laundry one week, you do laundry the next week, it's less miserable for everyone that way. Trading is totally awesome. Bartering is totally awesome. And then, pay people when you can. But Have no shame about your bartering, people. Like, make it happen.
I just went actually, and I've known you for a long time, and I went, oh my gosh, she really just said that.
Yeah, dude. Whatever.
Love you. Okay, so I'm way behind in the chat because I'm bad at multitasking in this way because I'm just like staring at Kristen and having this deep conversation, and I remember I'm supposed to be moderating and doing all the official things. So Jennifer said over here in response to another comment, I can't tell those fantasies. I can't share that. Judgment is terrifying. So, and I know Jennifer's speaking in terms of her erotic fiction and the unlived lives portion that she's telling, but I think that we all can play into that with our art, because whatever our art is, even if it doesn't look like what the rest of the world calls capital A-R-T, is a part of ourselves. It's a deep part of ourselves. It's like prancing around naked on the front lawn and saying, here, look at me. Look at all my cracks, all my broken parts, and all the baggage, and all my wounds, and all the places I think I'm actually amazing, but I'm scared that you're going to tell me I'm not. That's a part of all of it. And then when you take a level of, I want to tell a story that fits outside of what you're going to think is safe or acceptable, whether it's a true story or a fiction story or it comes from somewhere else. That's part of the dragon, the resistance dragon. How do you beat that? How do you work with it if you can't beat it?
Accept that people are judging you already right now, whether you like it or not, by virtue of your being alive. So you might as well piss off who you can. And by virtue of pissing people off, you also draw those people who are going to love you even further towards you. So you build a castle called Tiny Rainbows, and the other people want the castle to be called very stern blue suits and Republicans. And you piss off the Republicans on purpose so that they move closer to Tiny Rainbows, right? I'm totally okay with erotic fiction. I think you're fucking awesome. And the people that judge you for it clearly are not getting laid enough, A, and B, probably don't actually read right anyway. They just want to have something to be pissed off about. So let them. That's cool. It also seems like there's a universal law at work here, which is the more you care, the harder it is to share. If you're making shitty art you don't actually care about, like I finger painted with my kid, I don't give a fuck, here it is. Very different from this is all of my heart and all of my soul, and here you go, what do you think of it? So the smarter question might be to not ask what do you think of it, to simply put it out and put it out and put it out and put it out, and to invite people to play with you in ways that you find interesting. There are always going to be naysayers. Your job is to ignore, not engage, not play with.
And some of those naysayers actually live in your brain.
Most of them.
Most of them. Absolutely. Most of them live in your brain.
This is the universal, the brain's an asshole. It's just the way it is. It's not going to go away, but everybody has that. Everybody. You are not a poor, tortured soul that only has that. Everybody has that. I promise.
And I do think, in my own experience, the more of myself I put out there, and that part's not, there are things for me that are not scary that are scary for most people. Because I've been writing online, because of the way I've written, because of the stories I've told, you know, coming out and the end of my marriage and heartbreak and all of the rest of it. That part, whew, here's all my stuff. Take it, do what you want. That part's easy. I think that finding people, again, we go back to finding the people who have complementary strengths and the fears that kind of squash each other out are really good. But yeah, Jenna, we need to read that. Everyone needs more erotic fiction in their life.
Yeah. The end.
Okay. Jenna says, I am addicted to having helicopter parent syndrome. If I don't give to my students, my fear is that they'll fail and become homeless, and so will I.
What if they need to fail in order to do their best work? Don't take that away from them, and don't support them. I have a friend that has had an unemployed husband for years, and her refusal to acknowledge that he just needs to fucking fail does no one a service, and they're both slowly dying. Hooray! Sometimes our best teachers are failure, and sometimes that's exactly what we need to do the next thing.
Yes, and maybe Jenna will respond to that a little bit later in the chat. Okay, And then we're back to Jennifer again. I'm going to get better. By the next time I do a webinar, I'm going to get better at this moderating the comments thing. This is interesting. Jennifer says, I am sharing it, but no one's reading it. I need to overcome marketing sharing resistance. I definitely can relate to that. I think every time I put something out there, I worry that someone is going to judge me for pushing my stuff. Now, if I made widgets, if I sold, I don't know what, computer cords, and I had a business and I sold cords for your computer and I had an e-shop and that's what I sold, I don't think I would feel that way because it's art and because it's personal. It's like trying to sell yourself. And that's scary.
Yeah, but it gets so much easier with time and practice, and that, again, is the plight of every artist ever. So you're not to minimize it, but you're not alone. At the point where you're like, well, this is fucking easy to market, you know that you are missing the mark because you've stopped putting your heart on the line.
And then do you have any suggestions or resources for that end of things? So for people out there whose resistance is not actually making the art, they're doing the thing, they're writing the words, they're painting the canvas, but they're getting it out into the world. Suggestions for reading, websites, actions they should take right now, tomorrow, the next day that'll actually get them closer and closer to sharing and putting it out there so people can discover their art.
Yeah, I just put a link to brandcampblog.com/join-f-yeah, which is a fuck yeah club. Pick up Go Your Own Way. It's a really fun business book that will help walk you through the process of putting your work into the world. Namely, finding and calling to the people that find your work interesting and will someday, if sooner, hopefully, than later, buy from you. That's totally, absolutely free and fun, and go and love it, and it will do wonders for you. But just realizing that it's easy for no one, and the people that make it look easy have A, done a lot of work, B, have managed to find some distance from it so that a sale does not equal their soul's justification in the world. You're perfectly capable of selling whatever it is you want to sell in the world, particularly erotic fiction, because fuck yeah, dude. It's just the way it is.
So Jennifer, your homework after this call is to send every single one of us a link, or actually post it. If you have the book, if we can buy the book, if we can find your stuff anywhere, please post the link in the chat so that we can go check it out. Which is scary and you're gonna resist, but do it. Just do it anyway.
Yeah, just do it. It's really good. So, let me see here. This wants to talk to me. So we've been talking a lot about clutter and the shit that you have in your life that keeps you busy. And so once I was getting on a plane, I don't know when the fuck I'm always getting on a plane. And there's a guy, you know how everybody tries to put like 84 pounds of shit on and be like, no, I just have one personal item, it's fine. But there's this guy who's old and he has a cane and he doesn't have any luggage whatsoever, but he's holding 2 bags of Doritos. The little bags, the big bags. So like for the entirety of the 5-hour flight, we're talking 2 bags of Doritos and a cane. That is a guy that has his priorities in order. And so I think that we end up holding on to a lot of shit that we don't need. We have our bags from duty free. We have our responsibilities. We have our, no, but if my clients don't succeed, I'm not succeeding. We have our, nobody wants to watch this. Nobody wants to listen to this. No one cares what I have to say. We have our, if it's not epic, it's not worth doing. If I'm not writing 1,000 words a day, I'm not doing enough. If I don't wake up at 5 a.m., it doesn't count. And you just, it's your job and challenge to drop all of that and to say, really, there's one thing that I can do every day, and I'm going to do that thing. That's it. So what are your fucking Doritos? I don't want to hear about your dreams and your big lofty goals and your 27 things you're going to fucking do in the next 10 years. What is your Dorito for the next fucking 3 months? It might be that you get yourself a website, that you finish your book, that you market the book you've already written, that you actually shut down your business and get a day job or a full-time job, that you make space for doing the work that you need to do, or you just start saying no to everyone about everything for all of time because fuck them, you've said yes for way too long. what are your Doritos? It's different for everyone, but until you can identify them, you're just going to be caught up in someday I'm going to do this. And someday can last for like ever.
No more.
Fuck
So
so-
I'm going to be, no more. All the Doritos. I can't eat those either, Kristen. We're going to have to find different analogies for our phone call.
That's a true story. Like, what are your, I mean, just imagine, what if there are gluten-free Doritos in some parallel universe? It's fine.
Gluten-free Doritos.
They're just made of fairy dust. I don't fucking know. They're amazing. They're only sold in, you know, the places that you frequent in Phoenix. I don't know.
I love it. It's perfect. So I know I'm going to be joining Kristen and a bunch of other amazing people in Calling to the Deep coming up. Starts on the 14th, right?
Yes, ma'am. September 14th.
And I am committing. I'm gonna up the ante here to even what we talked about. I'm gonna do 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
I'm going to, and you're gonna come and Kim and Jenna and all of you guys listening are gonna come and like whip me softly if I don't. And it may be shit writing. I don't know. What I do know is that kind of like you, the first fiction story is trying to write itself through me. Mm-hmm. And I have no idea who these people are. Unlike you, I don't have any idea. And I'm not scared of them so much as this thing. I know creative nonfiction. I know how to tell my story. I know how to weave those words. I know how to talk. I know how to siren song it all out. That's totally comfort. But these people that don't really exist, that are coming from somewhere else, I kind of feel like I do when I'm at a big party and I want to hide in the corner. Like, all of you guys are just a little strange. I'm going to keep you over here. I haven't invited them all the way in yet. So I've been writing the little bits and snatches that come to me and through me, and then they don't connect to anything. So part of what I like to do in Calling to the Deep is actually try to find a way to open that up. And instead of just writing what comes to me when it comes to me, sit down and see where the story wants to go and see what the heck happens.
Fucking people.
The ridiculous part of it, Kristen, and I don't even like to read dystopian literature, but this might be a dystopian book. I don't know what to do with it. So I might actually be writing some fiction and Calling to the Deep. But I would love it if you would talk a little bit more about the program and what we're going to do, and whether anyone wants to join us or not, the ways they can use this idea to kind of further themselves.
Sure. So
they're resistant.
Yeah, you're going to resist it. You're not going to fucking buy it until you do. So just so you know, the cart closes on the 10th. Come on now. Calling to the Deep is all about doing your work in the world, work that scares you. I'm not interested in like, I'm going to garden for 10 minutes a day. No, bitches, no. That doesn't scare you. Unless it does, unless you have a degree in it and you need to go back to it. But it's about doing the work that scares you, and only the work that scares you every single day. And you choose the metric. I will help you choose the metric if necessary, but I will not let you get away with vague things like, I'm gonna up level my business. No, that's not gonna happen. So we do the work every day for 69 days. It's my work to make sure you do your work. I pull a tarot card. I have your intention written on my wall, literally. And I check in with you every single day in a Facebook group. There's a volume of Calling to the Deep, which is currently being edited. It's about 56,000 words to help you find a way in over and over and over into your own internal voice and into your work as well. There's so much nefarious confetti hanging out because I will be sending you so much snail mail, and will culminate with a bag of gummy dicks. And each week we either meet in person, online in person, or I send you an interview that I just feel is wonderful and lovely. And I've talked with a bunch of people that I really fucking love about Calling to the Deep and what it looks like to do your work in the world. And the rest of it is, we'll see. But mostly, even if you ignore everything else and you just do your work every day, we will call it a success. I will call myself proud of you. And I think that if you got to feel like you're holding your memoir in your hands, or you're holding your first published book in your hands, or you've sold your first 100 copies, or your website is live, or your business made its first $1,000, is a soul quality to that is not going to be gained by taking the program that's like 6 figures in 6 minutes, or how to be the best at something in 12 seconds, or there are no formulas. There is no recipe here except making you turn and look at yourself over and over and over and over again. And as I was writing it, it kept bringing up shit, which is why I was like, oh, this has to take place in the community. This is not a $39 book that I'm like, fuck you, have it. It's given, I leave you alone. You will face challenges and resistance, and that's why I'm here. That's what I do. And that's what I can't wait to do for you guys. So that.
And that is what you do. And I'm really excited to do it because it's time for me. I've been kind of existing at the same level as long as you've known me. This almost but not quite success. At least by the terms that at least by the terms, and let me qualify that, by the terms that I need it to be to support my life, so that I don't have to be split between the income producing job and the soul work on earth. And I know that so Kristen, just in a matter of a couple of emails, managed to get me to compile, I think it was 47,000 words of writing and send it out to you because you asked me to in a way that I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that thing. Yeah. It wasn't some nebulous far off idea of here's all the things you could do. Kristen just emailed and said, okay, what you're gonna do by this date is find me at least this many words. Don't worry about anything, copy, paste it into Word doc, send it off. Don't even worry about what it's gonna be. I don't even know what it's gonna be. But he has it, and it's done. And that's what I like about you, is that you give me things in bite-sized pieces that I can manage and that I can't run away from in the same way. Because even my brain can't work around why I couldn't sit down and do that.
Yeah, I think that lots of times the thing on your to-do list is way too big. It's all like, launch a website. Really good fucking luck doing that in a 2-hour chunk. There are so many smaller chunks that require just sort of not tedious, but daily practice or daily attention. And so this is just about turning your attention toward what you actually give a shit about. So that in your obituary, it says she wrote 6 books and not she thought about writing 6 books, but really her house was clean every day. Because I just like, that makes me cry. I can't imagine anything sadder than a person with a clean house and unwritten books inside of her. Like, dear God, what a terrible fate. So if you want to show up with books, you fucking write them. Own a business, you fucking tell everybody that you own a business and come make it. But do your work, and it would be my great honor to come and support you in your work.
I should have warned people that Kristen will make you cry at some point. She does this magic thing. I don't know how to explain the magic thing, except I've seen it live in person, and it's nothing short of magic, where she asks a couple questions and then suddenly you are like laid bare out in front of her and all of your shit is there and all of the answers. So
it's like that.
What could happen to someone else? I didn't have the magic turned on me yet, but I'm sure that there'll be some of that. And Jenna says, "Oh my God, you know Meg Warden." Okay, so, and Elliot wants to know costs.
Sure. So Meg Warden is taking the program.
Share the link for her book. So a lot of things have happened over here.
Yes. So Meg Warden is taking the program. Like, she's in it, doing it with you. So you get to write alongside Meg Warden and Jeanette. And I'm so excited to have Sarah Von Bargen, who writes the Yes and Yes blog, is in it as well. And I would run the whole fucking program just to have her in it. Like, forget all the rest of y'all. But I mean, you can come, but like, Sarah and I are just gonna be playing. So it is $9.99, and you can break that up into 3 payments. If Jeanette gives the okay, I can totally give you a promo code for $69 off. Do it. But part of that is, I know what you do with a $39 program. I know exactly how easy it is to ignore and be like, you will not do that with a $999 program. You will actually show up for yourself, which is why it costs what it does. That was what felt right and good for me to do.
Okay, so I know we're nearing the hour mark, but I would love to know, I'm going to ask Kristen, because Kristen moves with intuition, if there's anything else she feels called to share or read or say. But in the meantime, if you have any specific questions for Kristen that you want her to answer before we hop off today, and not just the questions we all have, like, how do I do the thing? But really specific stuff, if you want some specific feedback, that would be great. But in the meantime, Kristen, do you have anything that's calling to you to say or do or share or read with the people right now?
Let me, yes, I will read you a poem.
Putting you on the spot.
I'll read you a poem, and this was deemed too intense to go on the front page of my website, but I'm considering putting it there just because.
Who deemed it too intense? Who deemed it too intense?
By consensus. There were like 5 people that were like, no, it's too much. I was like, God damn it, you people! Fine, all right, fine. So now I will read it to you. I made myself cry and I'm snotting, you ass. So anyway, okay, this is my paper because I don't have it memorized. I'm not Danielle Laporte. Give me mess and questions with no answers and long days spent doing absolutely nothing but cuddling under a blanket with the perfect roast of coffee to drink. Fuck perfection, fuck professionalism, fuck the thin veneer meant to mask worlds of hurt and derision. Give me the truth, give me your pain and your vulnerable bits. Give me those pieces to hold together in love as you fall swiftly apart. Fuck lying of all kinds, both to yourself and to those around you. Fuck holding it together and keeping calm. Give me the tears, the unborn bits, the dreams that will not die no matter how many times you have tied them in a bag full of rocks and thrown them into the lake to drown. Let's start there. Let's start with what's keeping you alive, or at least what refuses to die, and bring it into clear focus. It's time to let your deepest wants, needs, and desires come to light. It's time to let them feed you. It's time to call to the deep.
Well, I would have been the tiebreaker, and I would have broken that consensus a little bit because, and I don't cry much. I actually have had to work on the crying thing over the past few years. I'm a lot better at crying than I used to be, but that was beautiful and meaningful, and I'm gonna have to find a printed copy somewhere so I can tack it up because I have spent too long running away from this, and I don't think it looks like running away to the rest of the world because I'm pretty visible online. And I'm pretty open and bare in my writing and the social media. And so to most people, I don't think that looks like running away at all. But I know what it feels like inside of me. And I know there's so much more, both in quantity and quality.
You could bring people kind of just the tip. Like you give us 10% and we're like, please give us the other 90% for the love of all that's holy. And you're like, no, I'm good. And then you run away. You're like, God damn it, again? Come on. Like we just know me too well. Like we just want to see the other 90%. Like please give it to us, please.
And that you called me out on it in the podcast, the expansion and then contraction, expansion and contraction. And I think I think that a lot of us do that. I think probably I've even seen you do that, not in the same way or to the same extent that I do. Yeah. How do you counter that? That I just got so big that now I'm going to need to get little again for a little while. Do you like how I did that with my body too?
Yeah, no.
I think it's natural. I think that like little kids do it, adults do it. We do it professionally. We do it romantically. We put ourselves all the way out there, and then we go, okay, that's way too naked. I gotta close it in again. How do you work with that?
I think you let that happen yourself wrong, but you acknowledge that season neither season could last forever. You can't live continually expanded or continually contracted. And I think most people get stuck on the contraction, which is so fucking sad. Because think about like even when just you breathe, like your lungs are constantly doing this, and so your life is constantly doing this. But resistance just tries to keep you at the next possible moment that you do this. Resistance is what wants to press your hands together and make you incapable of expanding again. So there is a time for contracting, but it's also something that you can say, enough now. This has just been enough. To quote fucking Love Actually, bam, just it's enough. That's all.
That is my favorite movie and my favorite scene, and it may have made its way into that blog post. I said enough already, but yes. I do that. That is one line that I say to myself. I have to get to that point where I am completely over my own shit to the point where I just cannot continue in that path. And I think that's usually at the beginning of the expansion period where I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. So like in The Art of Asking, her friend that asks her to change, and he just says, well, it doesn't hurt enough. Like, it has to hurt to want to change. Otherwise you won't do it.
Okay, so someone says, how do you face your fears? I have almost a sense of immediate danger that I always veer away from as I go for art, music.
So fear is there to keep you stuck and safe. So you do not try and defeat fear, ever. You do not say, fuck you. You don't make it an enemy. It's simply a way to say, okay, well, clearly we're getting into some new territory here, and I will absolutely listen to what you have to say, but I will refuse to believe that I'm going to end up homeless, lonely, living under a bridge, broke and toothless if I decide to sing a song. So acknowledge fear. Acknowledge that fear always says the same thing, which is no. If there's nothing else it will say, it will always come back to no. And you can thank it for chiming in and then keep doing what you're going to do.
And I just posted a link to a blog post I wrote years and years ago about fear, where I actually talked about inviting it for a lap dance.
Right? Like, give it a place to say all the things. And it's going to
We either want to run away or do battle. And there's actually a choice that's neither of those things.
Yeah, that it's just like,
actually,
I kind of hate you, but all right. Like, fine, let's do this. Let's do this.
Let's sit down and look at it and really, like, you know, I tend to need to look at my fears from all the angles, like take a circle and like get real cozy with it, and try to. You can't out-reason fear, but understanding where it comes from and what the root is, because the fear of the thing is not. You're not usually afraid of the thing that you think you're afraid of.
No, it's just a trigger for all these other things. It's never, if I sing a song, something bad's gonna happen. There's a ripple effect that just goes and goes and goes and goes, and you always end up dead, homeless, or both.
Or worse, ridiculed on the internet.
Right? Like, there's always something, like, it always tumbles into a terrible place, and it's just not that interesting. But it wants to think that it's interesting.
It needs to be interesting, because otherwise it doesn't get to live. It doesn't get screen time if it's not interesting. Right. And I know, again, in the podcast we talked about, you asked,
well, absolutely. Sorry.
That's okay. You're allowed to interrupt me. You're the guest of honor. We talked about with my thing, what my fear is how immense whether you call it the muse or the thing that works through me when I'm really in my writing. Not everything I write. Some of the things I write are not like that, but the big feeling of what is coming through me when I'm really, really in it and I'm writing those pieces. If I really stepped all the way into that, how huge that could be. Like, it feels gigantic. It feels like I've got to be ready, you know, to take stage at an arena like the Rolling Stones, with, like, you know, and not in this, I'm so amazing or so talented, and not in this self-deprecating way either, but it just feels like this immense thing that if I unleash it, if I really, really unleash it, I don't know what's going to happen. And I like knowing what's going to happen. I think we all like knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, but the art of being art is not knowing what's going to happen.
The art of art is not knowing what's going to happen.
And dancing with the delight in the unknown, which is often a pain in the ass, but is often also remarkable. If I hadn't been, I will tell you a story. This is somewhat embarrassing. I hope that you don't repeat it. So like 6 years, right? So I've been separated for a very long time, and I decided that I'm going to go great choices. I am good at them. So I set it all up. This guy who was me, and he says, yeah, I'm going on a date. This girl, her name's Kristen Kelp, and she's like, holy fuck, what? And so he's like, well, her name's Kristen Kelp. And she's like, I fucking love her. And he's like, well, should I go on a date with her? And she's like, if you don't, I will. So I go on this Tinder date, and within a week we've deleted Tinder. We're counting the days. We have this incredible experience of of being together in ways that I've never been before. But in some small way, art like sealed the deal for going on the date, because he was kind of And then the roommate, because I had been putting my life out into the world for so long, was like, if you don't go, I will. And she's straight. I fucking love it. So in some way, my art got me my man, and that makes me really happy.
I didn't know that. I love
don't
that.
know.
Beautiful.
How it's going to go. You just can't. But it's a really delightful turn of events.
Yeah. That is a delightful turn of events. So don't be afraid, because making your art will find you lasting love with someone beautiful or handsome. That's the lesson of this whole entire webinar.
One Tinder date, people, that does not happen. Apparently I was supposed to be like beaten and just like left in an alley somewhere. But it didn't work that way. It was late.
And that makes, I love that, because I have found in my life that the putting myself out there, the doing the scary part of being really raw and open online brought me far more than it's ever cost me. There have been some costs, and there have been some repercussions sometimes of sharing some things or living life the way I do. The people and the things and the experiences that have been brought to me in the times that I have faced that resistance and pushed through it far outweigh any of the rest. Have there been sucky, shitty times? Yes. But it doesn't come close to the feeling. It doesn't even come close to the feeling of standing at brain camp after I read and knowing that I'd done this super scary, terrifying thing. Because I wasn't just reading something. I was reading like two of my most meaningful, deeply felt poems, and talking about fire and, to this group of people. The first thing of the whole event, But speaking will never be that scary again. Doing a webinar will never be this scary again. And I can laugh because it's funny that I was so terrified of this. You have to do. Like, there is no getting past the resistance without doing. You can't think your way past resistance. You can't feel your way. You can't cry your way. There is nothing else besides doing the thing that is the absolute scariest. That's the only way I've found to make progress that is meaningful and lasting, is just to dive right in and do the work. Over and over and over and over. I think there's a question here that we can probably both speak to. I feel like the last 4 years of my life has been a whirlwind. I'm 21, divorced, and now remarried with a 4-month-old. I'm finding it hard to tear away the shit I've been through the last few years. How do you come out to the world when your heart is so raw? And I'm going to say that's the only way you come out to the world. Yeah, but you do it carefully as well. No one says that you have to tell everyone all the details right now. Yeah, there are no rules around that. The way and how some of my most raw stories are told, and they're told honestly and completely, but they're not told anywhere near the time that they were happening. By the time it's safe and feels right and good for me to tell some of those stories, I'm long past. So I don't have to feel quite as, it was raw writing them, it was raw living them, reliving them and putting it out there as raw. But there's a safety in that I've chosen a time that feels good and right in my life to do it. And I think that art is always going to take you to raw places, but it doesn't always have to be the thing that's happening right now in your life. You may not be ready to make that art yet. Yeah, you don't have to share your life in real time. Yes. There's another quote. I love your little Kristenisms. You don't have to share your life in real time. And that, again, I keep going back to writing as my example because that's what resonates the deepest, but that's any art that you're putting yourself into. You get to choose. You have a responsibility only to yourself and to the art that you're called to make, but not a responsibility to anyone else's timeline or anyone else's way of doing things. So a lot of the times things could get written or painted or whatever your art is. The song could get composed, and it's safe for me to write it, but it is not the right time to share it with the world. It's not the right time to put it out there because it's not right for me and it's not right for the other people involved in the story I've told. Part of the catharsis of it is just the creating, and then the second part happens when the time is right. Yep. Agree. Absolutely.
And
So,
yeah, go.
oh, so, but her heart is raw. She's been through a lot. And sometimes I think even getting to sometimes when you're raw and broken like that, art pours out of you so crazy you can't stop it. Like, you can't stop making things if you try. That's why the tortured artist trope is so prevalent and so out there. But then other times, being that hurt and that devastated can lock you down, especially if the art that you want to make and you feel called to make isn't from that space, like exists in a different space you're in right now. So if your art is happy and sunny and joyful, but you are like absolutely at capacity, stressed, broken hearted, it can be hard to reconcile that.
Sure, because you can get caught in expansion or contraction either way. So you're going to make lots of art, or you're not going to make any art, and you will know when it's sort of evened out to the pace that you're that is your normal, that is not so fucking raw that you want to die, and that is not so closed down that you're incapable of smiling at a barista because your life just has no meaning to you at the moment. It's your job to find the balance, and it's always like fucking seaweed under the ocean. Like, it's always this, and so you're just moving through that. Actually, it's like the movement of a jellyfish, which is your magical card, which is let it go. There we go. Look at that.
You're amazing.
That is one word for me. That is not the word most people would.
Love you. We've come a long way. Well, it is now almost 20 after 12, so I guess we should close this down. Do you have anything you want to say in closing? Any last things on your heart or mind in terms of creative resistance and all that we've talked about today, or any invitation that you want to make to everyone who's listening in?
So invitation-wise, the link is there, peacelovefree.com/brandcamp. Promo code peacelovefree takes $69 off Calling to the Deep. The cart closes on the 10th. Don't wait that long, motherfuckers. If you want to email me personally, brandcamponline@gmail.com. And I think I have a closing little thing that's pretty good and that's useful regardless of whether you give me money or not, if you're ready. So you can go the Pinteresting route and take 8 steps to create a gallery wall in your house, or you can eyeball it and just start hammering. You can make an editorial calendar for the next 6 months, or you can write a blog post and publish it today. You can plan your whole year around the new brand or product or service or novel you're going to create, or you can hammer out a first draft. You can dream and scheme and ponder and consider until you're blue in the face and you've exhausted every member of your immediate family with your plans, or you can show them what you did today. You wrote 300 words. You mailed 4 letters. You wrote, designed, and scheduled your next newsletter. You decided to pay yourself with your business. Get it live. Get it moving. There is virtue in getting it done. There is momentum in progress, no matter how small. There is untold energy in moving through fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Pick up the hammer, the trowel, the tablet, the notebook, the camera, the tools, and begin. Go for the little win.
I love that. So can you read that to me every morning? Can you just call me, make me that my alarm clock? Like, go for the little win. And I just want you to, I'm going to record your voice saying, go for the little win. I'm going to make it my alarm in the mornings. Right? Because I'm so, listen, I do tend to make everything so huge that I don't ever have a chance of chunking away at it. The things I have to do are so gigantic. And go for the little win. That's just perfect. It's perfection.
Yeah, you build castles. Be like this. Just make a little tiny wall, just like this big. You don't have to make the whole castle today.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing. I'm going to hang out in the chat for a while if anyone else wants to talk a little more. And we will send out, I think Kim has been compiling all the links we've shared, so we'll send that all out by email and put it up on the replay page. If you didn't get to hear the whole thing, you can listen to the replay, and feel free to reach out to Kristen or I with any questions. Beautiful. I'm going to do this again. Right, Jenna? Are you still there? I'm going to do this again.
You did it. You did it.
Yay. Resistance. I win. Good. Today I win. Win. Perfect.
Yay.
Well, I adore you. I love you. I thank you for believing in me many times when I didn't believe in myself, for continuing to show up for me and to ask me to do things that I don't want to do.
Ask for saving.
And then I've told you this many times before, but you're one of those people who've made a difference to my journey, and you continue to. And so I'm so glad you were here with me today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for letting me push you around and dominatrix you and generally give you shit. It's so much fun.
I love being dominatrix. It's my favorite thing. Tell me what to do in little bite-sized chunks, and I can actually make it happen.
Right?
On my own, I'm my own worst enemy.
We all are. Absolutely. We've all got our things, and I'd be happy to help you work through the thing. That's it. That's the big pitch. I'd be happy to help you work through the thing.
That's pretty pitchy.
Right? I am fucking annoying.
I feel like Simon Cowell. It's a little pitchy. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I will let you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And folks who are still hanging out, I'll come over and chat with you a little bit. I don't know if Kristen's sticking around or not. And we'll plan to do this again.
Yeah. Awesome. I will talk to you guys later. Yeah.
Much love, everyone.
Bye.